Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we'll say call hello.
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash.
Double honors of the apostles and the elders of great millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to y'all came out there pushing the glory of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, the sincerity and the truth. This is GMS Dallas, GMS Houston. We got brothers from Chicago on the way as well. This is a class session that we have every Saturday. And today what we want to talk about is the downfall of Esau and Moab. We were just kind of discussing and talking about different things that are going around in the world, in the economy, and in different governments. And we said, why not go live and talk about it? So, Lord willing, this is edifying. We'll talk about different. I know brothers got articles that they're going to pull up. We'll go through some scriptures and some economic understanding that comes out of the prophecies, and just relate everything into the Most High's World War III algorithm, as we talked about, man. So, Lord willing, this is edifying. Of course, we'll be looking at the comment boards, and any relevant scriptures and points coming out, we'll pull that too. Did anybody have any opening statements? All right, let's go with the first scripture.
This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 46. And it says, "And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person."
And we use the scripture to highlight Moab, talking about so-called Chinese, and their relevance and relationship, their relationship with Babylon the Great, or America, Asia, or China is a economic manufacturer or warehousing center for the West. Cheap labor, it's cheap products, and it basically fuels Western consumerism, and not just really Western consumerism, really worldwide consumerism. A lot of the South American, a lot of the African countries deal with China because they sell China their raw goods and materials, which China is able to take and then create all the goods that we use and we buy from. And so they are partaker with the hope of Babylon in the sense of they're linked with their growth. China benefits from a strong dollar and a strong world economic system and foundation that Esau has been able to lay down. Now, for millennia, thousands of years, Esau and Moab have been linked and have been trading partners, and there's nothing new under the sun. We see the same thing today. And so right now what we see is a digital shift that China has been given the go-ahead to lead, but it's at the behest or at with the authority of the central banks all around the world. And so China's been digital. They've been tracking all of their citizens. They've been doing all this different type of stuff, and they're at the forefront of what's going to get ready to roll out to everybody. So when you read the scripture, Asia, thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon and art the glory of her person, you see how because of the relationship, the trade deficit that America and the West has with China, basically now China is the number 2 economy in the world. Really, they're kind of the number 1 economy in the world, right? And the United States allows China to do what they do. Why? Because we can sit back and chill.
Number 1 importer. So
that's right. They're the number 1. We buy all their goods, cheap goods. Nike and all these other top level corporations, they send their labor over there, and so these American corporations are able to thrive off Chinese labor and Chinese work. Anybody have any points on that? Okay, keep reading, bro.
this is back in 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 47. "Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her."
Right, you have made yourself like unto her. Now you've taken on their mindset, you've taken on the economy, you've taken on basically the whole idealism of capitalism. You've infused, because China is known as this communist country, but they've infused themselves with this whole idea of capitalism, and they've thrived. So woe unto you. Woe unto you with the way that you use. Now what you see with China is that they're buying land and buying up places over in South America, over in Africa, because they want to transport what they've done there in China to those different nations, and they want to become a consumerist nation like America, and it's going to be a failure.
just a question. Haven't they bought areas of Mexico as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they're doing the same thing that America did in China. And now China is doing that. Now that they got a bag, well, we're going to run this model in Mexico, Central, South America, and in the Caribbean, and in Africa, right? Which is utilize cheap labor, raw goods and materials, set up the foundation for everything. Hey, Shalom, bro. All eyes on you now. Set up a foundation. Everybody get up for Central and South America and Africa, and they're setting up that hub, right? So when we read here in verse 47, woe be unto thee, thou wretch. Go ahead and keep reading.
Come. This is back in 2nd Ezra chapter 15, continuing on in verse 47. I'm going to just read verse 47 again. Mm-hmm. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please the glory in thy lovers.
Which the lovers are everybody that's coming in and dealing with you. So now in the news, there's all this propaganda about how China and Russia and the BRICS nations are going to take over the U.S. dollar, and they're going to do all this shit. Well, the scriptures is telling you they're going to go down with America. They're going to go down with Babylon the Great. They're not going to be able to, this enterprise that they're partaking of is going to fail right along with America and Esau. Okay? Go ahead. And their lovers are the ones who work with them.
I got the lovers.
Go ahead, Chad.
I'm ready for that.
Where, Revelation 18?
Yeah.
Wait. We're going to come to that next. Let's finish this, and then we're going to hear the Revelation 18.
God.
Brother's on point, man.
Continuing on in verse 47, it says, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Mm-hmm. Thou hast followed her, that is hated in all her works and inventions.
Now, when you read in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, it talks about how the nations were going to have a taunting proverb and the byword against this evil nation that basically sucks everything in, talking about Babylon the Great, when you understand it prophetically, right? So now you have followed her, which is hated in her works, the Babylon the Great. So what do you think is going to happen with China and all these BRICS nations who are basically duplicating the Edomite capitalistic model? They're going to be hated too. They're doing the same type of, the BRICS banks, the BRICS, they're not doing anything different than what the SWIFT, BIS banks and different European or Edomite central banks are doing. They're doing the same thing. They're putting out predatory loans, getting these nations caught up in them, and they're setting the same standards as the International Monetary Fund and all those other banks. They're not doing anything different. It's two sides of the same coin, whether it's the BRICS nations or whether it's the West. Two sides of the same monetary policy is going out. When you look at it and understand it. When you look at China, do they have more surveillance or less surveillance than America? More. Do they have more control of the people and more kind of like MOTB systems?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this idea that China is doing something different than what the elite that's running everything is bullshit. It's two sides of the same coin, man. It's but they have to make you believe like there was a choice. They have to make you believe like there was ever something different. It's just not. Okay? Keep reading.
It says in verse 48, thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Mm-hmm. Therefore saith the Lord, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence.
All of these things were prescribed for Babylon the Great, and it's going to touch Asia, it's going to touch China, it's going to touch all these, Russia. The Most High is going to have to put an evil thought in the minds of the kings of the earth to go to war. Because they're complicit in this idea of the MOTB system. They're just going to fight over who's going to be the centerpiece of it. And that's always been the nature of the Edomites, and that's always been the nature of their trade partners. There's nothing different. When you read about Moab, they was always there with Esau. Bullshit. They was always helping. They was always there. Well, if we wasn't fighting Esau, who were we fighting? Moab.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep. It was always the Moabites
Ammonite, the Moabites, the Philistines, and the Edomites.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's that trio, that wicked trinity.
Right.
Okay.
What you got?
This is Second Chronicles chapter 20 and verse 23. It says, "And the children of Ammon and Moab stood up against the inhabitants of Mount Seir."
Second Chronicles 20.
20 and verse 23. It says, "For the children of Ammon and Moab stood up against the inhabitants of Mount Seir."
Now, for you new people, Ammon is the so-called Japanese. A lot of Koreans are in there too. All right, when you study Korean history, that's why when you look at Korean stuff, it looks Japanese. Okay, you can go study it on your own. And then Moab is China, right? Well, we understand it's China and all those guys in Taiwan and everything like that. Okay, go ahead.
It says, "For the children of Ammon and Moab stood up against the inhabitants of Mount Seir, utterly to slay and destroy them.
Go ahead.
And when they had made an end of the inhabitants of Seir, everyone helped to destroy another."
Everyone helped to destroy another. So in that area, there was always a trade agreements, trade pacts, violations, wars against each other, dealings with each other that were going in and out. And just now, like today, you see all this fighting, so-called fighting between China,
Right.
and the United States. Well, are they really fighting? Or are they major trade partners?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
They say, we worry about China. But when you go to the store, where's everything from?
China.
So you have to understand the propaganda, man.
Yeah.
They're complicit together.
They're in a marriage pretty much.
Right? What you got, bro?
No, I just want to bring out this is from Council of Foreign Relations.org. And you already mentioned the relationship been going back thousands of years. Of course, they're going to have a predated earlier date. But just the opening paragraph, it says the United States and China have one of the world's most important and complex bilateral relationships.
The most important and complex, confused, Babylon. Go ahead.
It says since 1949, the countries have experienced periods of both tension and cooperation over issues including trade, climate change, and Taiwan.
Right. And so now what you're going to see, because what's made in Taiwan? Chips.
Yeah.
Right? Now, when I say chips, I'm not meaning implantable device processing. Everything processing chips in this TV, in this laptop, in your phone, in your car, in your refrigerator, everything, there's chips in them. And Taiwan is at the centerpiece of that. So you got America that wants to control Taiwan, but then you have China that says, actually, this is our land. All right? And so they're battling over who's going to control that. Like I said, America and China have agreements and they work together, but when that MOTB system gets ready to roll out, that's when dust is going to be kicked up in the air. We don't know. We know what the prophecy said. All right? But when it comes to, the BRICS nations is going to take away the dollar. No, they're not. They can't afford to. They can't afford to take the dollar out. It's a coordinated effort by all the heathen nations to go into the MOTB system. You take the dollar out. When we're going to read Revelation 18. Revelation 18 lets you know about the strength of the dollar. When the dollar go down, y'all all through. And that's what when in the midst of all of this change, war, Armageddon. It's all confusing. I was talking with Yashwama yesterday. He was like, man, because none of it doesn't make no sense. You don't know who on what side. It's all bullshit. But we know the prophecies. So we're just talking about it a little bit. China is not going to be no world leader. China going to go down with America. They all going to lose. They all going to lose together, just like what we read in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. You got more on that, bro? On that article?
No, it was.
That it on that?
Yeah.
All right,
That's
so
the
read
main
what
part.
you got.
All right. This is Revelation chapter 18. I'm starting at verse 1. It says, "And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit and cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Now we read scriptures that correlate with this great destruction that's going to come to this Babylon the Great that's written in the book of Revelation. It's not talking about Iraq or no. This is the spiritual Babylon the Great. For you Christians that like to watch our show, it's talking about America. America is the whore that rides upon the beast with Mystery Babylon written on it. This Mystery Babylon the Great is America. Understand that. If you don't understand that, none of these scriptures will make sense. All right? So this Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed, absolutely wiped off the face of the planet through war. All right? And be an inhabitant of foul birds and their creeping things. Book of Eli type shit. Okay? Keep reading.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
Now you go back and you read in Revelation 17 chapter, it talks about this wine. Basically the philosophies, policies, mindset. You go into the book of Habakkuk, the second chapter that we mentioned, which we're not going to go into. But in the book of Habakkuk, the second chapter, it talks about this process of this evil nation that encapsulated everything within it. This is Babylon the Great. This is America. You cannot function in the world economy, even politically, without being complicit to Babylon the Great in some way.
The whore that sitteth upon many waters.
The whore that sitteth upon the whore there, and then waters represent peoples or nations. Okay? So they've all signed the contract, including China, including Russia.
Yep.
Okay? There's this idea of them fighting economically, but really there's just posturing. The Most High is going to have to put an evil mind into the nations to go to war in the way that nobody in the world will expect. Okay? Nobody expects Putin to push the button. But the Most High is going to make Russia push that button. Okay? Go ahead, Chan.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth.
Like Nathaniel said, all nations? All? But really, it just means pretty much everybody's down. Okay? When you look at the World Trade Organization, the WTO, over 183 nations have signed a contract to be a part of an international global economic system, including Russia. That's why you're able to be sanctioned. That's why you're able to be cut out, all right? But the BRICS nations do the same shit. They got the same contracts. It ain't like they're nicer. It ain't like they're better. They do the same shit. They just like, look, we need a hedge against the dollar hegemony, just in case we do get sanctions. We need to be able to do this. But overall, they need the dollar to be strong if you understand economics. If you understand economics, a strong dollar is pivotal for all these nations functioning. They all drunk that wine.
And that's why you had the G20 that, like you said, they're all in agreement. Then you had a G8 till they took Russia out, and now it's G7, but it's going to the contracts that they make amongst each other economically.
Right. Go ahead, Chan.
Come on. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her.
Go ahead, Chan.
And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy.
Right. So now you see all the U.S. dollar moving here and there. China's now what? The number one economy on the planet. They have waxed rich through the delicacies of dealing with Babylon the Great. Right? Now they're able to say, hey, we're going to go do this in Africa. We're going to do this in Central and South America. We're going to do the same model that we learned from Esau over here.
They're colonizing Africa. It's a neo-colonization.
The same place.
Right.
China. And that fornication, that dollar is a big part of that.
100%. There, but it's like you said, Yakai, it's the same play that they learned from that big brother, America.
Yep.
Esau and Moab have always been trading partners. They were trading partners when we were walking through trying to get to the land of Canaan, dog.
Right there, the King Highway.
On the King's Highway. We just went and kicked ass on. We left Esau alone, but who ass we kicked? Moab.
That's why they had to throw up a curse on us.
Uh-huh.
We were so powerful at that time that they had to throw a stone up.
We was teaching them real martial arts. We was teaching them real kung fu.
And martial arts really came from Jake.
Yeah. They learned it up close and personal.
Yeah, but they took it and then,
They took it and tried to make it all flowery.
because on this side of the world, Jake has been, man, the video we did before we come here, Jake has been, what's the title, brother?
If we can just touch those ships.
Jake, and the whole premise of the video was how far Jake has been displaced from even the slave ships.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Jakes and the slave ships, people just think of them as degraded people. No, those jokers came off the slave ships knowing that they were Israelites and having a history.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just easy, or Jake came on the slave ships and that was it. Like pretty much the majority of them Jakes were like Kunta Kinte, rebellious, trying to escape, trying to revolt,
Mm-hmm.
But Jake has been so displaced, like what you said, the martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
It was Jake that taught more, but it was on this side of the world. Jake was so displaced from everything, cut off from any form of history and culture. So, like, people think of martial arts, for example, some gooks.
Right, Jet Li.
Yeah, which, okay, I'm saying it again for all you who know, Bruce Lee was an Israelite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We stand on that. We're going to continue to stand on that. Well, now, even Michael John White.
Yeah,
This
talking
video-
about how he was in Oakland.
Yeah, how Bruce Lee basically acted like a Jake.
Yeah, because that's all he hung
He
out.
dressed like a Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but why? What would possess him, this guy from Hong Kong, to finally come to America? And then, why did he choose to go in amongst the black community and vibe with them? So you can't. The other nations can't emulate Israel. Like a lot of these so-called, like dudes like what's his face there? I ain't talking about Vanilla Ice, but even he might still be questionable. He could be.
Eminem or something.
Eminem, yeah. Eminem is a Jake. You know what I mean? But see, that's the mystery,
I don't know.
Oh no.
I believe so too.
No, he just don't like him. They just don't like him. I believe he's a Jake. He got my vote. He got my vote, but he got my vote. But anyways, back to the point. My nigga's a Jake. He might rap like that. Back to your point. Israel, you brought it up about how we was going and how Moab and Esau. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jacob is the former of all things.
Yeah. Well, we all dwell in those things. We got, at the end of the day, it's all Hebrews. You know,
What
Esau,
kind?
Moab, Ammon, they're still all Hebrews. And so, in the midst of all of that, what we read in the scripture and what we understand out of the scripture is there was a lot of agreements, pacts, dealings that led all the way up to the time of Rome and beyond.
Yeah, bro, see, all this ain't new, man.
Yeah, ain't nothing new
All
under the
this
sun.
shit, but that's Ecclesiastes,
Mhm.
right? Because, see, that's why we got to get into, in this truth, you got to open your mind up, man.
Right.
Your mind really, like, what the Bible say, by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
God.
When you come into this truth, when you brothers learn this truth, you got to start looking at things. Because I know, man, it's like, I'll speak for myself. When I first came to the truth, I learned the basics. I just learned the basics, man. Like, it's like, even in truth is a growing process. You grow. Each year you in the truth, you grow.
Right.
When I first came in the truth, brother, man, all I fucking knew was the basics, homeboy. We learned the basics. Okay, we saw the camp, the brothers, 12 giant old shit. You know what I mean? Judah, Benjamin, Leah, Issachar. You saw Cesare Borgia, You saw the images we how you know. We went up to the school. You saw the images we heard. Okay, I'm an Israelite. These are the tribes. You knew these are the nations. You know, the 18 nations, right?
Mm-hmm.
You knew who was who. But that's Moabite. That's but you gotta realize something. We coming into this truth as Jake's coming out of fucking America.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm sorry to say Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we coming out, all we know is goddamn America.
Yep.
We were raised up in this bitch.
Yep.
This is all we know. And in our minds, even though you're in the truth, like there's still a lot of toxins that gotta be purged out of your mind and your spirit.
Yeah.
I'm talking about once you're in the truth.
Yeah.
It takes years for those.
Well, it's like pouring the water in a cup. Like you got dirty water in a cup. You just pouring pure water in a cup, right? You just got to keep pouring until more and more of that dirty water is purged out.
Come on.
Right? And so that's what we're doing. That's why I like doing lessons like this. We were talking about this before the camera came on. But we can talk about Moab. We can talk about Esau. We can talk about economics and trade. And really, I just want to, what I like to do is open brothers' minds up to, it's not as simple as it sounds.
Yeah.
And when we read these prophecies, there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for the prophecy to hit. Like really think about the relationship that China has with America. All right, and how it actually plays out in the earth, and how it leads to all these different propaganda pieces that you see in mainstream media, in alternative media, which I emphasize this heavily to brothers. Alternative media is still for profit. It's still clickbait. Dabu 7 produces a lot of clickbait because he needs money.
Oh, it don't make sense.
Okay? I like Dabu, but he's still for profit.
Can I add something to you?
Mm-hmm.
And y'all gonna look. My man, you know, who I was a fan of, Kevin Sanders.
Yeah.
That's alternative. He was a part of that. He was getting them. Look, man, I'm gonna stop the video till y'all put the lights up.
He knew what he
was trying to get paid.
Right. So you gotta be mindful of that and understand that the prophecies lead news. The news don't lead prophecy. The prophecy leads the news, right? And so this is what we're talking about concerning when you're looking at the news, talking about, oh, the US dollar, they're gonna take away the dollar. What does that actually mean? Can that actually work? How does that fit in with the MOTB system?
Right.
You know, when you understand money, no, they're not. China's not trying to take over the dollar because they can't.
The elites are controlling everything.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what you have to understand is that there's people behind things making things happen. Okay.
Cheers.
Let's go back.
I got a quick precept for you, brother.
Please. And then if we have Ezekiel 28, and if you have that article, you can pull it. Do you have an article or something like that?
My phone been used to record. I ain't had nothing though.
Oh, okay, never mind. I didn't want you to bring out an article.
Hey, look, man. I don't give a fuck what nobody said. One simple scripture, well, what y'all would call it, and not y'all, I ain't saying y'all, but what people would call basic. That's a basic. There ain't no scripture's basic, man.
Right.
No, none of the scriptures are basic. There's no such thing. It don't exist. See, that came from a lot of, even some of the lingo that, even amongst us Israelite brothers, right? Like they call us Israelite. And I say that because we in the truth. You know, we in the truth. You know what I mean? You brothers, even if we go amongst, let's say IUIC or ISUPK or Sakari, whoever, whatever, right? Amongst the Israelite community, right? And I say that because we're brothers that know we're Israelites, as opposed to Pookie and Riri out there that don't know. Nothing's basic, bro. That came from a culture of a lot of things that even brothers do now, even brothers in GMS. Certain things that brothers say and do, it comes going back to One West, coming from a lot of us. Okay, us, your elders and leaders, right? a lot of things y'all do come from us, positive and even negative. You understand what I'm saying? I'm owning up to shit, bro. Positive and even fucking negative. Because there's certain even negative things that we might have subconsciously do because we go back to 1 little bad habits that we picked up from some of our elders that got passed on to y'all. If y'all get my meaning. Just even some certain lingo. Like case in point, like brothers like, because even I said, yeah, man, come on, man, those are basic scriptures. But look, man, ain't none of the scriptures basic. Every scripture is deep. It might be well known. A case in point, okay, I was going to quote a scripture. Oh my goodness, Job 9:24. Because that ties in with what we're talking about.
Right.
What you just said. You said Moab ain't taking. Esau is in control on the earth. On why? Because the Most High put him in control.
Yeah.
Not because he's so bad.
Right.
Because the Lord did it for prophecy's sake. Read Genesis, go back and read Genesis 25 and 21.
That's an important scripture.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that scripture for the end time. Right? So if Esau's been given the fatness of the earth, what the fuck does Moab got to do with his dollar talking about he gonna take down $1? No, he ain't.
Well, that's why I quoted Job 9:24.
God.
What does it say? Y'all can recite this in your sleep. The earth was given into the hand of the wicked. But see, and then, well, that's basic. It ain't basic, man. That shit is deep.
Yeah.
Read on. He covered up the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? That goes into history, prophecy. That's telling you who it's talking about. You can't mistake that for nobody else but Esau. He covered up a kind. Then that goes on into the Renaissance. Right? The Byzantine Empire was us.
And everything from that point.
Now, what does the word Byzantine mean?
You know?
So who named that empire of that time Byzantine? Who? When he came into power later on, the fucking piece of shit that he is. Okay? In other words, because Jake was ruling on it's backwards. So the scholars, the modern day scholars, deemed that period the Byzantine Empire because Negroes were ruling. See, so if a black man's ruling, then it must be backwards.
The dark age.
But America's not Byzantine. We living in the Byzantine Empire right now.
This is backwards. And from the Renaissance until now, it's pretty much his little season.
Gosh.
He will rule, and we're at the end of it. According to the vision seen in Daniel, the 7th chapter, this is the end of Esau's world. So, but it's a lot that got to happen with the power he's been given. It's a lot that has to. It ain't gonna just go down like that.
It's got to play out. It's got to play out.
Things got to play out, and the Lord is working on the king's minds in the earth. And it's all coming together, but it ain't gonna just happen like that. Like America ain't gonna go down in 2 fucking weeks.
Yeah.
It's a lot that gotta happen, but that's what I gotta appreciate right here.
Just like Rome.
I'm glad that was beautiful. That was beautiful. I said that. Hey, that's beautiful. I'm glad that was beautiful, man.
Right.
Because that, see, that's why the scripture, that's why Yahweh said in Matthews, but he that endureth unto the end, the very same shall be saved. Right. Because, and that's why Yahweh also said, what? When I come, shall I find faith in the earth? So that ties, see how this truth and this knowledge is, one thing ties right into a whole nother thing. It's like a big merry-go-round, man.
That's right.
Because, like he said, it's on. You got dudes that learn this truth. Why do you think we got? Come on, man. For you brothers that in this room that have been around for 15 years, if you've been around for 15 years, or you've been around for 10 years, right, y'all should thank the Lord, man. That's a blessing. That's a super blessing. Because look at all the guys that, the artists formerly known as whatever, right, that are not here right now with us. But 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they were going hard body, right? They were going hard body. But where are they now? Right? Like that show they had on MTV, with the artists, where are they now?
Hey, let's bring the streets up real quick.
Come. This is Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 29. As the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, and the Moabites, which dwell in Ar, did unto me, until I shall pass over Jordan unto the land which the Lord, our power, giveth us. So it's showing they was confederate and trying to keep us from getting to the promised land.
See?
Right.
And they still are right now. And it's that same process.
Esau was a part of that.
Yeah, Esau, Moab, all the other nations. But right now, at the forefront of the world economy, you have what? Moab and you have Esau. That's why when you go and you read Jeremiah 48, 49, 50, 51, who's mentioned? Moab and Esau. Moses putting the middle finger up to those two nations.
Well, when David rejoiced over taking down the nations, who did he mention? Moab, Ham, well, the Philistines, which is Ham, and Esau.
Our enemies, man.
Yep, Moses, when he sung the song of Moses, he sung those nations.
Same
were
book.
Yeah, and it's these same nations that are at the forefront of perpetuating the downfall of our people.
Right.
And they love this digital economy. And the digital economy is centered around controlling you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Point blank period. Wherever you are in the world, chiefly here in the West, but over in Africa, in South America as well, in the Caribbean. That's the foundation of how they want to make this thing go. That's why they're setting up those hubs. All right? We have to understand that, okay? But we have to know this. The Most High wants them to forward this thing.
Right.
Go ahead. BRICS nations. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do all that. Great. Create the turmoil. We know that it's going to culminate to nothing but chaos and destruction. And a paradigm shift that's going to lead to the rise of Yasharallah, Kwam Yasharallah.
Because of unrighteous dealings.
Mm-hmm.
Riches got by deceit. You know, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. The kingdom is being translated. But again, it's a lot that's got to happen.
There's a lot that's got to happen. So when you read this news, understand that put prophecy at the forefront before the news.
Faith, though, but faith.
Right?
That's why I'm glad one guy said that, because with him saying that, with that being said, like you said, America ain't gonna go down tomorrow. We would like that to wake up in the morning and the chariot say, yeah. But it's that for us, the message in that is faith.
Yep.
It's not gonna we're gonna have to ride this shit out.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay.
We're here in Babylon, so as it collapses, your life is going to be directly affected.
Come.
So it's going to take faith. But at least we have the comfort of knowing why.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody else is just like, oh shit, my business, my house. You know, well, we have another bag we can reach in.
That's right. Why? Bro, knowing why is so critical. Yeah. Because it keeps you calm.
Sense of comfort.
Because when you know why, then you know what. When you know what do you figure out after that? How?
That's why the scriptures say, to you who are troubled, rest with us.
Mm-hmm.
Rest with us. Where do you rest? All right. In the comforter.
Yeah.
You know,
We know we're in the last leg of this fourth beast, you know, and ancient Rome didn't fall overnight.
Yeah.
So the spiritual Rome is not either.
That's right. And that's what we're prophesying.
It took hundreds of years for Rome to finally fall.
Yeah.
That shit, the internal warfare split it. The Roman Empire split into two.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm talking about the original Roman.
Right.
Yeah, they were together, solid, over a period of a couple of It
Right.
actually was a split.
Right.
You had two Roman empires. I think that was the Eastern and
Western and Western.
Eastern and Western. You had two Caesars, and then from there it was over. Even that, it took
Check this though,
decades.
Apostle. It took hundreds of years for Rome to rise.
Right.
Yeah.
It sure did.
Rome was on the scene.
Yep.
That's the same.
Before Rome was on the scene during the time
For
of
the
the
Edomites.
Persians.
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
Right?
There was small
You had
cities
a
there.
small city. You had Edomites over in Rome during the time of Persia.
Yep.
Before during the time even of the rise of the Greeks. Edomites, you gotta remember, when Babylon and Assyria was on the scene, it wasn't just Israel that got scattered. everybody got scattered. Edomites got scattered. Edomites got scattered by the Persian Empire. Okay? So we always say this. The Bible focuses on one particular nation. Who's that? The Israelites. The Israelites. But there was all types of shit going on. Okay? Anyway, I won't get too far off the topic. Go back to this.
This is Revelation chapter 18, verse 9.
All right, go ahead.
And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her,
Making money, falling out of control, right? Go ahead.
shall be well hurt.
What they gonna do?
Shall be well hurt.
What does it mean to be well? You heard. Warning. So there'll be wailing, Babylon the Great. The news will make it seem like these other nations are so excited for America to go down. The scripture don't say that.
Nah, that's bullshit.
The scripture says that they're gonna be well. Why? Because they drank that wine. They're linked in.
They getting paid. That's very good.
That's
Hey,
right.
what's that scripture? What's that scripture, man? I don't remember offhand, man. Every man shall flee into his own country.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. We're gonna
Spirit.
get there. That's on the list. That's on the list. Like he was telling us on the money.
Because the scripture it does talk about the nations being angry and the shameful spewing, you know, but if this thing really failed, they would be directly affected.
They understand that they're in a trick bag. So it's dual emotions. You can't fuck the dollar up because now your whole economy will crumble and your people will riot. Take away a man's sandwich. Watch him stand on the street.
Right, because you get like Uganda, they talking all the shit against America, but how did the motherfucking Kamala Harris just go get on the plane and be able to have a voice?
Take a man's sandwich away. He'll pick up a gun. Real quick. Okay? What you got, Chad?
Got precepts. This is the book of Nahum, chapter 3, verse 5. It says, Behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh.
Y'all gonna remember that I keep saying it. Y'all gonna remember when I take a man's sandwich away. He gonna pick up a sword. Okay?
Yeah.
Watch what happened in Europe when sandwiches start dissipating.
The dissipating sandwich.
Go ahead, bro. Call it reading.
Nahum chapter 3, verse 5, it says, Behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame, and I will cast abominable...
What does that mean? That means it's going to be discovered that you ain't nothing but a hoochie mama.
Shameful spewing on the world.
Okay? When a skirt lifted up, oh, they see all that meat. You just a nasty hoe. That's being discovered. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 6, And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock.
Yeah.
And a gazing stock, when you get that word in the Hebrew, literally means to become a spectacle. So that lines up with Revelation, the 18th chapter, where it says the nations are going to be well the smoke of her burning. Yeah, and see, because this, like you said, this whore is going to be found out to be nothing more than just a hoe. You know, all these nations that got burnt, you know what I'm saying, the STDs, and they're like, man, we about to jump this hoe, you know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. You know, I was in there.
This is Isaiah chapter 23, the point of verse 9, when we start at verse 7, it says, Is this your joyous city, whose iniquity is of ancient days? Her own feet shall carry her afar off to sojourn. Who had taken this counsel against Tyre, the crowning city, whose merchants are princes, whose traffickers are the honorable of the earth. And as you're speaking about, you know, China and these other nations dealing with the American dollar, and as you said, most things we buy here in America is from China. So their merchants are the chiefs of the earth, man. And this is why, you know, America is booming, but also the other nations are booming because America is consuming all of their goods. It says, verse 9, the Lord Yahweh of hosts has purposed it to stain the pride of all glory and to bring into contempt all the honorable of the earth. And then also you're speaking about how all of this is going to lead to the downfall of all these world's economy. Bro, look, but the Most High God is throwing a monkey wrench into this system, man, and it's playing out so beautiful through the Spirit. It's like, bro, only the Most High God can orchestrate this thing, man, because it's going exactly how He said it's going to go. So Babylon is being despised before the nations, but it's going to affect everybody.
Yeah. Great point.
All right, again, Revelation chapter 18, verse 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning.
Right, when everything goes down, and it's going to lead to absolute Armageddon and destruction. Go ahead.
Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come.
Go ahead.
And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her.
They're going to weep and mourn. All the merchants of the earth are going to weep and mourn. Go ahead.
For no man buyeth their merchandise anymore.
So everything that was being processed within that system is going to come to a screeching halt. This is why you're not going to have the dollar reserve currency. No, it's not. What you're going to have is a transition into the MOTB system. And that's going to fail. And it's going to culminate in Armageddon and war, like the scriptures say. They're not going to agree together. And the evil thought is going to be put in the minds of the kings of the earth to blow fire on America, Babylon the Great, and other places.
I got something.
Let's go check.
Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will.
Right, he directs the courses of the minds of the kings of the earth, man. We know what the prophecies say, and we're going to follow that, all right? Just to get the point of the power of controlling merchandise, let's get that in Ezekiel.
Ezekiel 27.
28, yeah. 28, 1 and 28.
What you were saying about them not getting along, that's Daniel, two. Right, the iron mixed with miry clay. They
Boom.
shall not.
Right, that's a great point.
Right.
Great point. Now, for you newcomers, when you go into Daniel, it's the second chapter. It talks about how this fourth kingdom is going to culminate in the feet being with iron mixed with miry clay, and it likens it to people being mixed and mingled together, and how it just doesn't work.
Not gonna cleave to one.
They don't cleave to one another, right? And what is that? What does that culminate into? Upheaval, war, riot, tumult.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Ezekiel,
You got a point?
Nah, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 1. The word of the Lord Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus said the Lord Yahweh power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God.
What does it mean for your heart to be lifted up? Somebody explain that?
What's your heart and your mind? You lift it up in pride.
Right. You feel like you got it. Now, when you look at the sentiment of America, or Americans, or Westerners, even at that, there's an idea and there's a sentiment or an idea that we are unfuckwittable.
Can't be touched. War with the beast.
Who can make war with us?
Right.
Who can make war with this beast?
Right.
Right? That's a lifted up mind or a lifted up heart. Okay, let's go.
It says, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not God.
Right, but you have to understand it says, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas. In the midst of the seas represent what? The people. Meaning, I have overarching power over everything. Right? And they've set up systems to make sure that they have that. Now, the brother was talking about Fed Now. The Fed Now CDC systems, which will give them more overarching power. If you control food, you control people. But if you control money, you control everything. Everything, because you control how things move about. That's what that Fed Now system is set to do. Now, the Fed Now system is not just something that's going to be rolled out in the United States. This is going to be something that's rolled out in all the modern, nations. All the top level nations are getting ready to roll out some type of CBDC system, meaning every transaction and what you do in the world will be trackable, traceable, controllable. You can stop it. You can see where it's at. Boom, 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 boom. And they're going to present to you as convenience. But now you don't have to do your taxes. It's just done for you. Why? Because it's all monitored. We're going to take that burden from you. No more H&R Block.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Jackson,
you got a
Hewlett.
trade or you cut hair, and they control what is considered currency.
Yeah, all you got, all your cash app side hustles.
Yeah.
Through.
True.
You know,
You ain't doing your taxes, no more.
through. Everything's gonna be trackable and traceable, right? So that's why he says, I sit as God, bro. I see all and I know all. All right?
Controlling currency puts you at the seat of God.
Mm-hmm.
Because true currency is the earth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Resources, things that are the resources. So if he's made money per paper and all of this shit.
Yeah. So Esau and Moab are at the centerpiece of this process that's happening in the earth. Goods, services, rendering out how we live. You know, I got my red Solo cup with an undisclosed drink in it.
That's it.
But where does the red Solo cup come from?
I was an 8.
You know, this glass, the paint on this thing, right?
Well, when you look at Revelation 18, it talked about how all of the goodies that America had imported is why these nations were going to cry when they failed, because this is the #1 import country. It has the most imports, and the Bible describes it to a T.
Come on now.
Embargoes.
Right, they would say, okay, we're going to cut you off, we ain't going to do this.
If America put embargoes on you, man, that hurts motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And them embargoes, you know, like my man General Yohana said, there's an embargo. That's the mark of the beast. But the embargoes be screwing these nations up.
That's right.
If they put embargoes on you, nobody wants America to put embargoes on them, man.
Right.
You don't want America to put embargoes on you. Meaning we ain't gonna do no trade. Excuse me, you ain't getting no money.
You ain't going to make no bag.
Right? I'm taking your bag. You ain't got no money. Yeah, I mean,
So is that a reason why these nations are getting together to get around these embargoes and sanctions?
Right.
America too.
Right. And so what you see is basically like, we see what you did to Russia. We need to make sure that if that happens to us, we have a back door. But the back door is not a solution to the global economy. You have to understand that it's too late. The American dollar is embedded to the whole.
hell yeah, man.
Take the American dollar out of the economy, all of a sudden, it's a domino. It's a house of cards.
Right. Hey, Ariana, now, brothers that travel, we all travel. Some of you brothers just have you. I've never really traveled overseas. I've been to Canada, right? How many of you brothers in here have been to Canada? Have you been? We took a trip up to Toronto. Oh my God, that was like 25 years ago, right? And back in the '90s, me and Apostle Talha Bar.
It's still dope.
Yeah, I was back there. We was up in shit, man. We wanted to stay.
Right.
Me and Apostle Bar, we almost cried driving back. We wanted to stay and become Canadian citizens. We didn't want to come back. You know, for real, man. But anyways, but it's still hell too. Right. But it was a better form of hell.
Right.
To us.
Lesser hell.
Yeah, lesser hell. The air was even fresher.
Right.
Bro, across the border.
Went to Eastern Bloc, Europe.
Okay, man. Bro, just leaving like America, Babylon.
No words.
When you cross the border, you drive up through Niagara Falls and Niagara, New York. And then once you cross that bridge, you come to the border check.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you drive in, it's like a different spirit. The air is fresher out there. A goddamn hamburger in Canada is different than one here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious.
Mm-hmm.
The food up there is like, yo, a hamburger tastes different. You dig what I'm saying? But anyways, when we got there, we had to switch the money over.
Right.
Canadian money is not enough. But they do accept American dollars.
Oh, well, for sure.
You can use, like if you go to Canada, I don't know if it's changed. You go to Canada, you can use American money if you want to. They accept American money. So when you go up there, if you don't want to do the, go to the got the name of what they
Money
call
changers.
exchange office, you know, because the money system is different. But like I said, when we was there, that was 25 years ago, 26 years ago. Things have changed a lot since then, you know, this dollar thing, man. So I don't know, but I know back then, because Apostle, y'all know Apostle Tahar. I don't think we even changed the money. I think we was just using American money because we were iffy about it. Cause it was like, but I know Apostle Tahar, man. He's like, hey, well, you know, we could change the money. But it was a few of us. We went up there 3 cars deep. This was back in the One West days. So we went up there. So some of the other brothers, we didn't get gas. You gotta know your shit. Anyways, as Apostle Tahar explained it to us back then, and the brothers when we was in Canada, he said, well, listen, brother, this is how it works. $100 American money, when you go to the changes, in other words, the American dollar was powerful.
It's even more now.
Yeah. So at that particular time, that was like 1993, 94, $100. When you go to Canada with $100 American dollars, when you switch it over, it's $130 Canadian. So the American dollar carried fucking.
Yeah, it's even more now, actually.
Wow,
People
okay.
think that it's less now. Actually, it's even more because they're so coupled to the dollar. And these nations, as the dollar has, it's harder to explain because there's inflation that's happening here in America, right? But the inflation that's happening everywhere else is faster. Yeah. It's going harder.
That's why they just shit collapsing fast.
That's right. That's right.
What about Mexico?
Right.
The American dollar still carry power in Mexico. Peso.
Tequila. Absolutely. Gorgeous.
Oh, that's why
It's passport.
that's another reason Americans are so proud. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they figure it'll just blow them smithereens.
You know what I'm saying? That's why that's another thing. It's another thing that America is just better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Well,
talking
it's because they've all drank down that wine.
When nothing could be further from the truth.
Right.
Okay, because if you get to Canada, unless they've changed that as well, but as far as my knowledge, you get to Canada, it's free healthcare.
Right.
Yep.
Canada, free healthcare. Europe, free healthcare. That means you got to go to the dentist, you go to the ER, hospital. Okay, we just talking about this too. It's free healthcare. Only in Babylon, America, fucking Obama and that fucking the crypt keeper that's in there now.
Yeah.
About the healthcare, they're like Fire Marshal Bill. That's in office, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
but it's not.
Healthcare, I'm doing you a favor. I'm cutting help. I'm making it affordable. I'm doing you a favor. See what I'm saying? Then somebody should ask the question, well, wait a minute, well, why is Canada not free healthcare? I believe even England has free healthcare. Europe, the European, why is America the only one charging people for healthcare? So you mean to tell me, okay, case in point, if I go to the hospital and I got high blood pressure, right, and I need my medication, I gotta have fucking healthcare. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to pay for that shit. One bottle, a small bottle of some medication is gonna be $500.
Yeah. For certain ailments, 2,500. You got 33,000 for certain doses of medication. And in Libya, they had free healthcare. In America,
When they killed him, they whacked Gaddafi because he's been talking shit against America for years. Because he was just kind of, which really, it's all a game. Whether he's even dead, we don't know. He could be dead, whatever. But all these world leaders are playing the game, man.
He was trying to switch the dollar. He was trying to go into a gold standard.
Yeah, he was trying to, which you get killed for that.
Yeah, that shows you.
You get killed for that. Don't do that.
Yeah, but
That's another thing that makes the dollar powerful. The sword that comes with trying to rebel against.
Well, that's what got Abraham Lincoln killed.
You know?
That's what got Abraham Lincoln killed. See, the Illuminati, they off you. They were off other Edomites.
Kennedy too.
Kennedy, that's what got Kennedy killed.
Yep.
Which them two are the same guy.
Same
Right?
Yep. Same spirit.
Yeah, those are the same guy.
Yeah.
Kennedy was Abraham Lincoln coming back in the reincarnation. It was exactly 100 years.
That was definitely.
Yeah, they were doing the same shit. Right. All right. So.
Gold standard. Don't try to bring back no gold standard. Don't try to do that because that's going against the bankers. Don't you step on the bankers' toes.
Yeah.
And that's what that Gaddafi
It don't fit, and it don't fit with prophecy. They ain't what the Babylon the Great is gonna do.
Nope.
Right? Babylon the Great is going to a digital MOTV system. Right? And the world is gonna be complicit with it. That's what we see. And I was looking it up. The Canadian dollar is still $1 is $1.36 in Canada.
Oh, really?
So it's the same.
So it hasn't changed since. So that shit ain't changed in like almost 30 years.
It ain't changed.
Because when we went to Canada, that's how Apostle Tahar explained it to us.
Yeah, but you know, the media make you feel like, oh, the dollar is going down.
Nah, yeah. See, I thought so. No, they almost
That's
had
what
me
the
believe.
media says, and that's why y'all got me here, man.
But see what we did when we went up there. Apostle Tahar told us well, we could change it over. We said, we found out. We did our research when we went up there. He said we could change it, but fuck it, man, why go through all that trouble? So the whole time we was up there, we just because they accept American dollars, but it still worked out.
Yeah,
it still worked out because shit was cheap. Like for us, whatever we brought up there, which we didn't buy no shit. We was up there doing we was just buying food and putting gas in the cars. But it still worked out.
Yep, you go to Russia right now. They ain't going to get out here with them dollars. No, they're like, yes, thank you.
No, they take it. They accept it. The majority of all places accept American dollars.
They all drink it down, man. They all part of the system. That's why they all fall together and go to war over it. They're going to go to war over it. The MOTB is going to make them all fight. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
All hell is going to break loose when they try to do that shit. It's going to be amazing. We're going to just sit back, chill with each other, however the Most High is going to have it, and watch everything collapse in front of our faces. What you got to talk about?
I got Ezekiel 27, and excuse me, I started verse 25 and just read 27 real quick. The ships of Tarshish did sing of thee in thy market, and thou wast replenished and made very glorious in the midst of the seas. Thy rowers have brought thee into great waters. The east wind hath broken thee in the midst of the seas. Thy riches and thy fares, thy merchandise, thy mariners, and thy pilots, thy caulkers, which a caulker is like a ship, you know what I'm saying? And thy occupiers of thy merchandise, and all thy men of war that are in thee, and in all thy company, which is in the midst of thee, shall fall into the midst of the seas in the day of thy ruin. That lines up with Revelation 18 chapter, going into pretty much how when you read Ezekiel 27, it tells all these different nations that pretty much made Tyre extremely rich. You know, like Persia, Lud, it gave all these different nations that had all these resources. Like Elder Yashwami, he was saying how America imports a lot of these different materials. And that's why these nations are going to be wailing, because if all these nations are importing these goods, they ain't nobody going to be buying their merchandise like that no more.
You know, there's a lot of BS too going on, man. The oil thing, the whole oil thing. We were talking about this. See, Esau, that's that scripture. He keepeth all things unto himself. He stayeth not at home. Esau's just the devil, man. That's prophecy. That's his nature to go and conquer. And the brother mentioned it. He was given the fatness of the earth. So wherever Esau go, wherever he go, well, no, that's the prophecy, man. Going back to Genesis, that's the prophecy. He was given the fatness of the earth. That means the rulership of the earth. The fatness, the rulership of the earth. So the Esau has to go to the Middle East and try to take the oil. That's the only reason that America's in the Middle East and all these other countries. And they say, okay, because the oil, right? Which is this crude, this fuel, right? Number one, we was talking about this, man. Listen, they already got the patent for electric cars. They've been had it. One of y'all brothers I was talking to told me that they had it since the turn of the century. I'm talking about the turn of the 20th century. They got patterns for cars that run on water. They got all this. And it could easily have long been implemented. And it's already been brought out that these trucks and these vehicles that we drive, these cars and trucks and motorcycles, number one, they're dangerous. This brother said that, right?
Yeah.
These shits are nothing but, brother, we driving around in pretty much bombs. That shit, something could ignite that gasoline and we could just blow up in that shit. But Esau went with the fuel thing because there's more money in that. They were given the fatness of the earth. So that's why anybody that comes, anytime that regardless of the pattern of the system, you get that. They're worldwide system. Here in Texas, and I've known this since I was a little kid, long before I ever even fucking knew it or been here in Texas.
Yeah.
As a little kid, I knew this. There's a large oil refineries here. America, up in Alaska, well, those two states I know, here in Texas and up in Alaska. But here in Texas, come on, y'all know.
Yeah.
I remember there as a little kid seeing it on TV. Yeah, Texas, what they call those machines, they had them all over the place. Eric's, the oil rigs, and right here in Texas. Oil. There's a large oil supply right here in Texas. You know how big this fucking state is?
Yeah.
That's what they showed Dallas was about.
Yeah, Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, J.R. Ewing and all that up in Alaska and certain other states. So realistically, the United States does not have to import oil.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
It's control.
They have too many reserves.
Bro,
You go into the history of Texas, just with the discovery of different oil, you got a lot of families that just had land. They would accidentally discover oil on their land.
exactly.
Yep. When you look up that word fatness of the earth, that word is oil.
And that's what most of the problems or the wars are based upon. The elites, that's why the elites engineer these wars. That's the only reason America's in the Middle East.
Yep.
Even though, like I just told y'all, we don't have to go to war, but Esau just wants to.
Well, ultimately, the Lord is putting the spirit on him.
Yeah, because it's prophecy.
It's prophecy.
Because the Lord gave it to him.
Because anybody with sense will stop at the point Esau's at.
Right.
Like, you just enjoy the earth, but the Lord has he cannot be satisfied. He is his death.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
man.
he can't stop with the way he set it up.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's
If
heavy.
he does stop, it'll fail.
But that's heavy. You just said something.
Yeah.
You just brought it out, the etymology.
Yeah.
Fatness means oil. So, like, you know what? The Lord, you're right. Oh, well, you said something heavy. It's the Lord. The Most High created this damn monster. So he got it, the Most High himself got to let Esau play out his nature, man.
Yeah.
You got to let him play out.
The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord.
He said, "Fuck it. This is Esau, right? I'm Esau. Fuck it. I got enough oil here in America. We don't need to import no fucking oil. There's oil all throughout this place. But you know what? Fuck that. I want their shit. Because it's really my shit.
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do.
You know what? That's a ruling class
You
mentality.
know what? I'm not even mad at Esau for that.
I'm not.
We gonna run this shit back.
Right, let me read the word. The word is the Hebrew word for fatness, when it says fatness of the earth. Because if you control the oil, shit.
Well,
It said,
the
You
oil
control the earth.
even olive oil and stuff.
Bro, this is made out of oil. This is made out of oil. This is
Bro.
made out of oil. This is made out of oil. That's made out of oil. This light's made out of oil.
Oil is a conductor of energy. It allows the world to flow.
Okay?
Blood of the earth.
Oil,
I was just about to say that.
All the product, this floor is laminate. This laminate on this floor is the oil. Petroleum, it create everything, tape, everything. These cameras, this right here on this book, oil. Okay? Much less getting it from one place to another as fuel.
Shit, our bodies are made out of oil.
You know?
Our bodies are made out of oil. There's oil that comes out of your pores, man. You understand?
Well, that's a different type of oil.
Yeah.
But, kind of.
Well, everything comes from the same. Well, no, Ariana, listen. Realistically, it's really not. All the elements, we come from. We
You know
come
what?
from the elements.
That's why I said kind of.
We come from the elements. We come from the earth, man. That's why Gad and Reuben used to always say that. The Native Americans, we are of the earth. The earth is our mother. We came out the waters. So we really, all the elements are all one and the same. And that's why years ago, I did a video. Oh my goodness, this is years ago. Maybe 15, 16, maybe 17 years ago. And all the scoffers, fuck on me, whatever. Because I said, yeah, your car. Y'all might, some of you elders might remember this video. I don't know. I did a video maybe 15 years ago, back when you brothers first came around us, man. And that's that when scoffers went crazy. And I did a video, and my God, I don't know where the hell that video could be. It's somewhere floating around. And I said, yeah, I said, your car. I said, your car has a spirit to it.
I remember that.
Oh, y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Right? And the scoffers, yeah, whatever, right? This nigga said his car's alive. Right?
Yeah,
whatever, right? But I was like, yo, and you know what though? No, but I never at the time, and I wasn't going off because Apostle Tahar, and I talked. I said, yeah, he said, no, you right, brother, you right. You right. You know?
Hey, Apostle, an older guy had told me that one time when I was young. He said, yeah, my truck will bring me home. He said, I get drunk. He said, my truck take me home. He had an old truck.
Yeah.
And I always stuck in the back
I've
of
been
my
there
mind.
too. I can relate to that.
I was stuck in the back of my mind. But really, I mean, it's a spirit. It's a spirit.
Y'all don't try that.
Even
No,
though
that happened for a whole year. That same thing happened. Old folks, I had this security guard here, not security, bouncer. And every day I would fall asleep on the road, but I would somehow wake up when I needed to wake up. If I was about to get into a wreck, I would wake up right before I got.
Yes.
I literally, yeah.
Bro.
In the car was like, get your ass up.
Hey, other one box. I've been there. I know, for real, man. It's true. Certain bills, like, bro, I can tell you that since I've been here. Like, my pony, man, like, I mean, yo, it's almost like your truck. At certain moments, it's almost like it's like a horse. Like, it's almost like your truck is kind of got like, come on, now we gotta get home, motherfucker. Come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? For real. But it comes from the elements. Because listen, all the elements, right? Esau was able to, the Most High gave Esau the technology to manufacture all this technology. But where does it come from? He didn't get it from outer space.
Right.
Aliens didn't come to, okay, and give us Esau the stuff. Your cell phone has a splitter to it. Your TV, your house. And I used to do carpentry work, okay, for many years.
It's all got a vibe. It's got all
the house, it settles.
It says that.
The houses breathe. For real, man. These elements, they're really actually alive. They're not just dead particles. This shit, even though it's built, a house has a spirit, right? Wood.
Now I want to bring that into a point that you're talking about, Apostle. Now, what happens when you control how that's moved on the earth? Do you not think you are God?
Yeah.
That's why Esau likens himself to the Most High.
Right.
Because he's in control of all of the elements and how raw materials and how they're moved about on the earth. And these other nations are complicit. That's why Moab will fall with Esau.
Oh, hell
Point blank, period.
He going down.
That's what the scripture says.
They ain't got necks.
Okay?
No, they don't.
You can't take away the United States dollar out of the economy and think you're just going with the BRICS nations. The BRICS nations are doing the same shit as the other fucking banks. They're not doing nothing different. They're front running the digital system.
Right. And all that bullshit, the main people who really feel against Israel, shit. Moab, man, F Moab. Or Moab, they're the masters of the martial arts. Like Apostle Tahar said this 2 years ago. First of all, man, if Moab was so goddamn bad and bad, how come they not running shit in the UFC?
Right.
They be in there.
Right? No, how come all the UFC champions for the past 20 years and some Chinese guy?
No.
You're so bad. Let me watch you do that goddamn karate top deadly villains. That's all bullshit.
Wu-Tang, yeah.
Okay? Yeah, man. Look, man. If Moab was so bad, if Moab was the top warriors on the earth, how come the UFC ain't being run by Chinese dudes? Or even in boxing, any form of martial arts. Boxing is martial arts. How come Moab ain't, how come a Moabite, how come some Moabite didn't come along and knock out Mike Tyson? Or Muhammad Ali? How come all the top world champions of the earth were black dudes or Latino dudes, Israelites? It's all bullshit. Moab ain't got no necks. They got necks in the goddamn chain.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Okay.
So, that pretty much, like y'all got some closing scriptures. I got brothers got run them and we close. You got a point, Mike?
And just to make a real quick point. The reason why these various countries, in particular Moab and China, can't get rid of the American dollar is because they have an interdependent relationship with America. And you guys brought out the fact that America is the number one importer of goods. Well, who's the number one exporter of goods? China. So why would you implode? Why would you destroy your number one customer?
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right. And the price of your goods is based on the dollar. The reason why people are buying Chinese goods is because the US dollar makes your shit cheap.
Yeah, the British really control China.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they control their banking system.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
China, that would be like China messing up their for show money, trying to get some more money.
Yeah.
They'll be hustling backwards.
Some mutual
Right.
relationship.
So you got Shanghai and then you have Hong Kong. When you go say, this can be a foundation for people to go and study the Boxers Revolution and all that type of stuff. We're not going to go into all of that. The point of today was just to highlight how, Mao Zedong, all that. The whole point of today was just to highlight Moab and Esau have always been in agreement as far as trade and everything like that. And the scriptures prescribe Moab going down right along. As a matter of fact, we close out with Jeremiah. Get Jeremiah 48.
Hey, I realize, you remember when we was little kids, it's going back in time, going back to when I was a little kid. Going back to my childhood when I used to play with toys. We used to play with little dolls, superhero dolls, G.I. Joe, whatever. Brother, everything, all the little toys that we had, and I would see it. I'm talking about as a fucking 10, 11-year-old little kid. Somehow, little kids, like, you pay attention to certain details, but it don't resonate with you. You don't know. Made in China. Y'all remember any of y'all remember that?
Yeah.
I'm talking about me being a 5, 6, 7-year-old little kid. You get a new doll, a Superman doll. You enamored with the shit. You ain't looking for nothing, but you would always see it. It'd be in the back of the leg. No, it'd be on the doll itself. Like a little imprint. Under the foot, made in China. And of course, at that time, as a little kid, you perplexed by it. But no, you wasn't stupid. You knew what China was. Chinese. Made in China, made in China. You buy a pair of shades, you get a little made in China. Hats, made in everything was made in China.
American flag.
So, feeding into the ultimate point of this lesson that the elders are going into, Moab has been confederate with Esau for a long time. But we got the proof. Now being there and the truth has grown in, see, like I'm just telling y'all this story to reflect back to that point, which proves the point. Moab been with this devil forever. They've been down with Esau. Oh, remember the cameras back in the 80s when I was a kid? Nokia, the cell phones. They're in Confederate. Moab don't want to see Esau go down because they're in Confederate. That's why, man. Oh, that scripture. Did y'all read that scripture real quick before you close out, Ariel? Every man shall flee into his own country.
Oh yeah, I want to pull that. Pull that, Baba Kusha. That's Jeremiah 51.
See, what's going to happen?
Real quick.
What's going to happen is when Moab and the other nations, Ishmael is into, Ammon is here, Elam, right? When they actually see, like, because the banks right now, as we talk, the banks here are crashing. I spoke on this already. I already know it.
Start at verse 8.
They're crashing the banks slowly. It's not happening like you said overnight.
Yeah.
But but
it's happening silently right now.
They're doing some fuck shit.
Money is being moved And I always try to. It ain't your little $1,500.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna crash Bank of America. Stop. Niggas outside of Bank of America with their $1,500. I want my money. Talk about your $1,500. Okay? Talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that different people are moving. That's what's crashing the bank. Yeah. I saw a lot of people at Bank of America the other day. They falling. All of the bond ain't shit.
Like SVB Bank, they owe 8 people $100.
Yeah. I need to pull my money out. You need your $38.28. Your shit is safe. Nigga that got 800 million that's worried. Okay?
Yeah. But what they are doing, they are moving money around. You're right though. We need to worry about some money. Money might be moved around like they're going into your 401ks.
Yeah, man.
And the Social Security system, we already know, is a fuckboy system.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a fuckboy system. But then like the 401ks and all
And
that
you don't
shit.
even know what they're holding in your 401k. Your 401k might be like 60% bonds. Then you might have like 20% in what's considered blue chip stocks. And then you might have 5% in gold and silver, and then whatever else in the speculative instrument.
But do you even like okay?
And you don't know what the fuck they doing.
I'm not real deep into all that shit, right? Your 401, like what the fuck? Okay, like
what is it?
What is it, and when do you receive anything from it when you retire?
Right. So your 401k is basically it's a part of a hedge fund. Whatever the company that you work for, they'll have a contract with maybe a hedge fund management group to say, okay, all of your employees or this sector of your employees, we're going to take a portion of the wages that they earn, and then we're going to put it into this basket of different companies or investments for them for their retirement. All right, they'll get access to these funds once they reach a certain age of retirement or once they reach a certain goal within a company. You can pull it early if you want to, but it'll be penalized
Prior to retirement.
Prior to retirement. So as you work for this company, you're having this money being put into this basket of bonds, stocks, or whatever. All right. Usually, it's something that's considered safe. Treasury bond. What is a treasury bond? A treasury bond is an IOU note from the government saying, "Hey, we borrowed this money from the Fed. If you hold that debt for us, we'll pay you back this percentage over 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever." So that's considered safe and good money, right? So a 401k is basically you put this money to the side every single paycheck, and it's going into this basket, and it's supposed to be holding and being there for you later. You got something, bro?
Yeah, add on to that, that's going through an exchange. All monies that are pulled from those that are put in monthly are going through an exchange, and that's the stock exchange. That's where it rides at. It rides, so yeah, it's all exchanged through there.
Right.
Different entities, and
right?
Stuff, not just one. It's just like your home loan, your bank, your mortgage.
Right.
It's on. If you pay for it, I don't care. It's all everything is cut up and chopped up.
Right.
So you can't even by rights right now. You know, with the situation that's going on, you can forget about any money that's in there. Right. I got money in the stock exchange. Right. I got money in that damn exchange system right now.
You can forget about it, but it's going to be extremely difficult.
It's because it's long term, and that's what it's meant for, not short term.
They're going to penalize you to get to it, and they're going to make you jump through a lot of hoops.
Yeah, just want to get that. It's a lot of hoops to jump through it, and right now, a man of war is not going to entangle himself with this shit.
Ain't got time for that shit.
Ain't got time for it.
So what a lot of people are doing is just going ahead and going through the hoops and taking the penalty and taking whatever's in there, right?
Because it gets taxed too.
It's going. That's what
some people do. All right.
So basically, the 401k system is no different than the Social Security system. As far as you're saying,
it's better. It's better
because you get compound.
You're not gonna get no Social Security.
Right. That's through. That's diminishing.
Absolutely finished.
Yeah.
Your 401k. If we keep going on and battling on like this, you'll get it.
because it compounds
Okay.
interest.
You get it.
So what, you get checks?
Yeah.
Yes.
In retirement.
Because what?
Okay.
Yeah, you get that back. But
Oh, so they just totally snatch those
most people just die before they get it.
It's just not enough to live on.
No.
Okay.
Get a part-time.
So when we talk about your money is being taken from the 401k, it's indirect. Basically, the companies that you're investing in, they're upside down, and they're having to be bailed out. So the value that you're invested in, you're losing because those companies are insolvent.
So it's the devil.
Okay.
This man is a goddamn
All right.
devil.
So but that's a small part of an overarching system that's corrupt.
We gonna fuck this devil up when we get our hands on him.
So read that real quick in Jeremiah 51 and start at 8. And I want to make a point after you read verse 9.
Jeremiah 51. This is Jeremiah 51 and 8. It says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed.
Go ahead.
We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and
her. You'll get her. Go ahead.
Forsake her and let us go, everyone, into his own country.
Now, this is what you're starting to see with the idea of these BRICS nations. Now they're decoupling themselves from being completely dependent on the petrodollar system, right? And being complicit to the rules and regulations of the West. Let's go into our own country. Go ahead. It's not just about, oh, you lived in America, now I'm gonna move back to my country. No, it's about the kings of the earth making sure that they can operate outside of what the whore that rideth upon the beast. Okay? Even the 10 horns. Go ahead.
Let us go, everyone, into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies.
We see that this is fallen. So we need to figure out something. That's what the nations are scrambling to do. As the bankers are telling these nations, hey, we're going to go into the MOTB system, they're realizing, okay, if we're going into the MOTB system, well, that means that this petrodollar system is going to be transitioned into something. Let us make sure that we can have a piece of the pie and sure of ourselves. As they do that, that's where you get the taunting proverbs, that's where you get the hate, that's where you get the arguments, the fighting amongst the nations, right? China is a part of that. But it's all going to collapse on itself. All right? It's all going to lead into war. All right? Which, that's why I wanted to end this just speaking. I'm just highlighting Moab as one of the guys. Moab is going to fall. Yay! Let's get Jeremiah.
I got a quick precept.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
And this is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 14. And this shall be as the chase road, and as the sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone into his own land.
Boom. Boom. All right? Everybody's going to get back into their respective corners, economically and politically. And we're watching that happen, okay? I got a quick one. Let's go, Shannon.
This is Second Ezra, chapter 15, and verse 15. And it's the GNT. It says, the war that will bring their destruction is very near. Nations will arm themselves and fight against other nations. And like you were saying, this is going to lead it. Hey, I remember we went to that Thursday Live, Joe Biden said, we know a global reset is coming. We need to be the one to lead this digital age. So these nations are going to fight to see who will be the leading nation in this.
That's it. That's why you have the fighting in Taiwan. They want to control that market.
That's a big
race. Yeah. Huge market digitally. Taiwan is a major digital market. That's where all the chips come out of, right? So they're going to fight over who has control of that. It's going to be the same thing with African nations. Who's going to control these hubs of raw materials and goods whenever this transition happens?
Yeah, the big mountain of gold they found.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because life comes from raw materials.
Yes, Africa was included in the King's Highway.
Raw materials,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, so real quick, Jeremiah 48.
Might as well start from the top on that one.
You can just start at 2 and just read a few verses. The whole chapter is cursing out Moab. So just read like 2 or 3 verses.
Okay. This is Jeremiah 48, verse 2.
Yeah.
It says, there shall
Jeremiah 40:82. There shall be no more praise of Moab. In Heshbon, they have devised evil against it. Come, and let us cut it off from being a nation. Also, thou shalt be cut down, O madmen. The sword shall pursue thee.
Go ahead.
A voice of crying shall be from Horonaim, spoiling and great destruction. Moab is destroyed. Her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. For in the going up of Luhith, a continual weeping shall go up. For in the going down of Horonaim, the enemies have heard a cry of destruction. Flee, save your lives, and be like the heath in the wilderness. Keep going. For because thou hast trusted in thy works and in thy treasures, thou shalt also be taken. And Chemosh shall go forth into captivity with his priests and his princes together.
Go ahead. One more.
And the spoiler shall come upon every city, and no city shall escape. The valley also shall perish, and the plain shall be destroyed, as the Lord hath spoken.
So Moab ain't gonna be no leader of shit. They gonna go down along with Esau and all the other nations in a bunch of calamity. This is gonna be calamity, calamity, calamity as we keep going and rearing to this thing. And then at the end of this year, whenever the Most High puts the spirit on these people to have actually truly pushed this MOTB, we're gonna see what's gonna happen in July with the whole Fed down and everything else that's going on in the world. And we praise Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man, because we know that it's gonna culminate into the absolute destruction of Babylon the Great and the rising of our nation, the elect of Yahshua, man. So, man, with that, do you have any closing statements? All right, what you got, Chad?
A little bit more, because it's going to tell you the reason why they're going to go to war. Second Ezra 15 and 15, and the GNT again, the point in 16. The war that will bring their destruction is very near. Nations will arm themselves and fight against other nations. This is the reason why. There will be great political turmoil with one group trying to overpower another and gain control. That's like you were saying for this new reset. Who's gonna be the lead nation in this reset?
Controls what?
It says while ignoring the legitimate government. They're gonna forget about the old way of doing things. Let's see who will be the new leader of this new world. And I'm gonna jump down to 46, the Elder Mike. It says, 2nd Ezra 15:46 GNT. You, Asia, Moab, are to be pitied. You are doomed. You have enjoyed the splendor and glory of Babylon. You have imitated her and dressed up your daughters to look like prostitutes to please and gratify your lovers who have always lusted for you.
Keep reading.
It says, because you have imitated that vile prostitute in everything.
The whore that rideth upon the beast. Go ahead.
Because you have imitated that vile prostitute.
And that's the image of the beast it's going into. That's right. Moab has really, during the time of colonization in the 1960s, what did they do? They transitioned their economy to the old way of doing things to Western culture.
Yeah.
They franchised away, basically.
Right?
Yeah.
So just like we started out with this thing, that's why we opened up with the scripture, and it's beautiful. We come back to GNT because they've emulated the same Western capitalistic society.
Yep.
And they're gonna go down with it.
And Ammon too.
Moab and Ammon's in worse. Ammon's actually in a worse. Japan is in a worse state.
Yeah. They're Americanized.
They're completely Americanized.
You go to Japan, they gave up their ancient traditional, almost their samurai ways. Yeah. Well, a good movie for that is the one with Tom Cruise. I know y'all all saw Last Samurai. That was a perfect example of that. How, but you had a certain sect of Ammon that was like, nah, fuck y'all. We holding on to the Moshito ways, but they got stomped out eventually. And they turned over to who they brought Tom Cruise and the Edomites in to Americanize their armies and shit. Moab did that and shit. They went in, and then Moab, they gave into the image of the beast too.
That's right. That's right.
Ain't nothing but books here in America. No matter what city you go to. When you go to New York City, there's a Chinatown. Yeah. You go to the Bay Area.
Especially Cali on the Bay.
The Bay, you know, one by. Up in the Bay, there's a Chinatown. I think that's the original Chinatown.
It gotta be somewhere out
Yeah, real talk. In San Francisco.
Yeah.
That's the original Chinatown.
Look where Japan is in proximity to like San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like you just fly right up.
That's the original China. That's the original Chinatown up in San Francisco. But in certain other cities, even in Chicago, they got a Chinatown. So Moab is all entrenched into Esau's way. And then Moab comes over here, these, especially their women. A lot of these Moabite women come over here and they get with Edomite men and have their Edomite babies, man.
Yeah.
So Moab is really confederate. This is a heavy lesson, man, because that's going to get pushed.
Yeah.
The importance of these damn Moabites with Esau, they're done.
Yo, they're not next, man. They not next.
They ain't new to this, they true to this.
Yeah.
That's why the Bible says Moab shall, in the kingdom, Moab should be what?
Watch. Hey, because they're good servants, they're good assets.
Well, they are. They
Yeah,
are.
that's true.
They're going to be the top slaves in the kingdom.
Yeah. They
Okay.
okay. Aristocrat slaves.
Yeah.
Taking care of the bookkeeping things.
Yeah. They ain't going to be fucking licking
They're
them.
good with agriculture.
Yeah. No. They're going to be good slaves. And guess what? In the kingdom, they ain't going to be making no goddamn chicken loan. Fat low meal.
Puppy low man. Gonna be making prices garments and everything.
Yeah. Comfortable eating that rat.
Patting the balls.
Yeah, they ain't going to be doing that.
Finish that scripture up.
Okay. What's he talking about?
Yeah, finish that up.
Oh, it's okay.
Second Esdras 15 and verse 48 in the GNT. It says, because you have imitated that vile prostitute in everything she has done or planned, the Most High has this to say to you. I will send disasters upon you. I will make you a widow and send poverty, famine, war, and epidemics to destroy your homes and bring ruin and death.
That's what's gonna happen, bro. Point blank, period, man. Most I ain't dealing with no China. All y'all are losers, man. We don't care about no reserve currency. Shut up. All right, all y'all gonna lose, man. Okay. Go ahead, bro.
It said, one more verse says, the power of which you boast, and we next up, like Klaus Schwab said, China is the model for the world.
Right.
It says, the power of which you boast will wither like a flower when a burning heat is sent upon you.
That's it. All right. So, man, with that, man, we'll say call off. Yo, lines to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutation to you brothers out there pushing the word to the serious truth. We finna eat some chicken. Shalom.
Shalom.